Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm your host, Arian Still Gaming, and joining me each and every single week, we've done like we did all the Mandalorian, we did all of WandaVision, now we've done all of Falcon. It's like 25 weeks of this. It's crazy how fast it goes by.
It feels like yesterday that we were trying to predict what was going to happen in the final episode of The Mandalorian.
Right, and then all of a sudden, here we are. We're already in end of April almost, and well, we are in the end of April, almost May already. Welcome back to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the last episode of this podcast. The next time we do something like this, it'll be in Loki. When we watch Loki on Tuesday nights, that'll be the next show that we do. Those of you that don't know, we go over the episode each and every single week. Because this is the finale, there is no like speculations and like theories going into the next episode. So we're going to take this episode and talk about, the bits and pieces of it, but then we're also going to tell you like the overall spectrum of what we thought about this episode, and then we're going to bring in the chat call-ins and whatnot during this show. Spoiler alert, if you have not watched any of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't know why you're here, unless you just like Wolverine or myself, and we do appreciate you if you are just hanging around. But if you haven't seen any of the shows, you're gonna get spoiled. We're gonna be talking in depth theories, actual facts. So if you haven't seen it, turn away. Don't. And then obviously, I don't know if I could tell you to go watch it or not. Maybe listen to this one and then go back and see if you should go watch the whole series or not. So let's get right into it. So this was the season finale, and as the season finale, we had our expectations of what season. We always do it, right? Even from like sitcoms, like when Friends was ending, or like How I Met Your Mother was ending, or Big Bang Theory. You're like, how's the season finale, or Cheers, whatever. It never lives up to your expectations of what it is, and yet here's yet another. Personally, for me, yet another episode of something ending, and the season finale was kind of disappointing. Being very generic right now, how did you feel about this? Was it up to your expectations, or was it not?
I think everything involving Sam was up to my expectations, and what I had the biggest problem with, and we've talked about it each and every episode, and even it was echoed even on the episode I wasn't here, the power struggle. We were always looking for the villain, and I think the villain isn't necessarily what we hoped for, or what we wanted. Right. But I can't reiterate it. I can't emphasize it enough. The arc of Sam and everything that he went through, in regardless of where you fall on any ideological spectrum, everything that he went through, his personal struggles because of the color of his skin, and then the story of Isaiah, it was moving. It was extremely moving. Yes. And again, wherever you fall on that that line of spectrum of middle, left, right, it doesn't matter. That scenes were powerful. They were full of emotion, and I think they were executed greatly. And it was probably the highlight of this episode was the immersion of Sam taking on the moniker of Captain America, Isaiah realizing that the society is ready to move on with Sam at the helm. It was almost like he was reconciling. And I know I'm really getting ahead, but like I want to take care of this part first, because I thought this part deserved the most emphasis because of, and personally to me, how moving it was, and everything else that we were probably going to discuss and be pretty negative about. Not as negative as yesterday as Mortal Kombat, but Flag Smashers, Power Broker, we're gonna be pretty critical. But this part, the Isaiah Bradley, the Sam, his family, the struggles of just being a black man, it was moving. It was moving. Do I find myself agreeing with everything that they've done, like the one cop scene? No. But the entire arc of it, I loved every second of it. I truly did.
Go ahead.
Just one last thing. Again, how the most important thing was Sam returning to Isaiah at the end, and Isaiah basically reconciling with the fact that this country can find some way to heal and have Sam take on that moniker, whether it's liked by some or liked by none. It moved me a lot. But yeah, that's I wanted to definitely not just get that out of the way, but really start the show and say how powerful the Isaiah, Sam, and his family arc really was.
Yeah, it's okay we go out of order. Bits and pieces of it. There's no reason to go in order.
It's going to be pretty critical.
Yeah.
Of the other one.
So what I like to say about it, I absolutely loved Isaiah's scenes. Like in the whole series, I thought it was the biggest, most emotional. Just like you said, like I thought it was great acting. I thought of all the stuff of being like a black man in America. And again, you're watching this and you're going, these are two white guys talking about this. And I understand that 100%. But I thought for the most part, besides this, I thought the other stuff that they kind of like put in your face, I was like, it didn't really need to be there. A part of us, when we watch shows like this, I understand they're trying to ground it in America and they're into like what's happening now or what's happened over the years. But a lot of us like to come to these things and watch stuff to get away from this type of stuff, right? But I'm not saying I don't agree or disagree. What Isaiah's character, that's what he was. That's his backstory was he was a black superhero that never got any credit. Okay, and then this is Sam's time to shine, and he needed that character to see how important it was.
It was a forgotten soldier who was punished for doing the right thing during the civil rights era. It's just like it's just like compounded fractures of his psyche.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do love the end where he does give him credit, right? He does put that statue up inside the as soon as he came there, I was like, oh, he's putting something up there. I didn't know if he was putting up pictures, but when they put that statue there and then what he did on that plaque, I was like, that's beautiful, right? That's a beautiful ending to that character's with all the struggle that he went through as the torture, as a criminal that they put him in prison for 30 years, right? And he was
like validation for everything that he sacrificed for the people that he saved, and just what he knew was doing the right thing and not being punished for it anymore and forgotten about.
Right. Even though he had to go through the 30 years, even though he had to get tested on all those years and went against his government. Now there's people that know the story of him, and it's being told there where people can come into the museum. And it's a small little thing, but at the same time, for that man, it's like you just said, it's validation, and he can like almost like die peacefully now, knowing that when he does go, that he's not known as this outcast person, that he was one of the first. He was one of the and Sam couldn't be where he is if it wasn't for Isaiah's character to make that sacrifice for him, right? So that, like you said, that's the good parts, right? That's the good parts. Again, I think the actor, I don't know the actor's name. The gentleman that played Isaiah, he did a phenomenal job. I think his name is Gordon Daniels. Oh no, that's not him. That's not him. Where is Isaiah? Isaiah Bradley. Carl Lumbly, I think it's how you pronounce his last name. He did a fantastic job in that role. Now getting into the rest of the show. Now, obviously, last week I said that it would start off with the GRC. This whole scene, it was interesting. I mean, it literally jumps right into them taking the guys through and Bucky and Falcon, or I'm sorry, Captain America, jump into the action right away, right at the GRC to save these guys as they're going through. Carly's character, this character is yet another wasted character, villain, however you want to call it, terrorist, extremist. This character didn't even need to be in the show, and they could have done the exact same thing, right? They could have had Bad Truck been the one taking this opportunity to do it, right? Because the Flag Smashers throughout this whole series, what were they trying to do? Like, They were what, trying to put the stuff back to the way it was, or the way it was before the blip, or the way that it was after the blip but before they came back. You see what I'm saying? Like, what was their end goal? To make sure that the people that got blipped off the planet and then came back, that they wouldn't get replaced? Like, and their goal was to what, murder the people that were going to set the vote? Like, how would that fix things? You know what I mean? Like, the Flag Smashers as a whole, following Carly, who wasn't really a strong character, and she literally played the same character, and this is nothing against the actress that played Carly, right? But this is basically the same character she played in Solo. Right. And it was really like, you didn't need those characters in that movie either to push that.
Just filler.
Yeah. So, like, the Flag Smashers were just filler in this entire 6-episode plot, and the way they got introduced, where they stole vaccines, right? And I understand we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like, it seems like something was changed along the way because of what's happening in real life with the pandemic, and then the reshoots, and then they had to change stuff. It just was very disconnected, and going through each episode, I was like, oh, maybe it'll get better, and it never got better. It was just like this empty villain that was here. What did you think about Carly and the Flag Smashers?
Yeah, I've echoed the same sentiment from the beginning. It wasn't some character that was going to be vindicated, find some way out. She was going to die her way, becoming the villain, and she was underwhelming. Yeah. And the biggest vacuum in this show was the power struggle and who was the enemy. And ultimately, looking at it, even though he technically wasn't the enemy, but the best antagonist of this show was Wyatt Russell's U.S. agent.
Right.
And even that we could be critical of in some ways. And I actually liked the way it turned out with him at the end, and then how he's joining up with Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Madam Hydra's whatever plan she's got in the works. Yeah, I think that will be interesting to see how that what that turns into, if that turns into some anti-hero group. But between Carly and Sharon Carter, I'll say it right now, Sharon Carter is the power broker. It's weak. It's very weak. I'll flat out say it. It was very weak, and it fell very short, in my opinion, of the episode, especially on those strong points that I was mentioning earlier with Sam finding the confidence to become Captain America, not caring about what people say or do, instructing people what to do in the middle of it, trying to find truth and justice in the middle of confrontation, and Isaiah's arc. And then you got this, stuff with Carly, and then the double take by Sharon. It's just, I don't know. I think it could have been executed a little differently, but we have a long way to go in this phase 4. Maybe something could turn into it, but I feel, unfortunately, as underwhelmed and satisfied in some circumstances as I did with WandaVision.
You're satisfied with Sharon's, or just satisfied with the series?
No. Satisfied with the series. Okay. Like, satisfied with Sam's arc. Satisfied with Bucky's arc. Somewhat satisfied with John Walker's arc. Flag Smashers crap. Zemo was cool. Power Broker, pretty bad. Batroc. It's just, I don't know. It may sound somewhat critical and nitpicky, but at the same time, I'm just not threatened by Sharon Carter.
Yeah, I should have went with my gut. Episodes, I think, like 2 and 3, I was like, I think it's Sharon. I was like, I don't know if it's Sharon, but I was like, it's Sharon. Then I changed my mind. I was like, it can't be Sharon. And here's why I thought it couldn't be Sharon. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that the scene where they went to the shipyard to get the doctor, okay, that she would lead them there to kill the person to then have no serum left. If she's the power broker, why would she send people there to kill them and kill her golden goose, and then also send people there so she could fight them and kill them, right? Like, it made no sense. Like, none. Even if she was trying to put a front up, okay, to be like, yeah, I'm on your side. Bucky, Sam, and Zemo weren't even watching her when she was fighting all these guys on the dock. Okay.
Yeah.
So that whole scene was for us, the viewers, right? To throw us off the smell of her being the power broker. And it made literally no sense. Okay. Like you look back on it. Yeah. It makes
it's like, who are you fighting to prevent now? Like, you're just stopping yourself. Like, this is like really, I don't know.
It just didn't make any sense to me why she would be like, yeah, I can help you out. Oh, by the way, I know where the doctor is. Of course she did, because if she's the power broker, right, she knew where the person was making the serum for her. And then she would lead Zemo, who she doesn't like, who she was actually threatening to kill, into the location knowing that he would do something stupid. And then it just doesn't make any sense.
Like, Zemo's a loose cannon, so it's at the same time, it's risk on top of risk on top of risk. She should have just played it off. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Let's find out together, to just let him astray. I don't know. Structurally, it doesn't make any sense at all, just as you pointed out.
The only thing I can think of her doing what she did to break down the serum was that she put all her chips onto Sam to get her where she was back in good graces with the United States, because she knew at the end of this episode that she was going to get pardoned, and then she would have more power than she did with the serum, right? With the weapons and all the different weapons and stuff that she could get her hands on now.
I don't know. Maybe this is just me. I'm over the sleeper cell agent stuff. Like, I'm done with the the super agent hiding within a big government entity, and then it turns into something big, because we got that all throughout Hydra when we saw that S.H.I.E.L.D. was basically a farce. Again, are we going to go through another series where the people with the highest power, Nick Fury, etc., are completely unaware that what Sharon Carter is doing, or what people Hayward were capable of in terms of malintent in the previous? I'm so sick, and probably because of all we've seen and been through chapter wise in the last 3 phases, is that government agent backstabbing type stuff, right, where it's just like, how many times is this going to get by, some of the most smart, intellect, powerful people on the planet? Like, we're ready to bridge the gap on something else. Give me, someone who's really devastating, about to like blow up half a planet, or excuse me, not half a planet, half a continent, or something of the sort. It's just the ending, and I'm jumping ahead, of course, but just to make my point, the cutscene, which we were all wrong about because we only got one final cutscene, which was extremely disappointing.
I really want a human to call in today, but he's not going to.
It just showed that, like, her being welcomed back, pardoned, and then her smirking away at the Capitol, extremely menacing. Yeah, like, totally. Like, I can't wait for her to get the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, human type person. That's what I don't understand. Did she send the bounty hunters so she could just kill him for her own sake? Because, like, again, Sam, Bucky, and Zemo didn't see her take out anybody. She was fighting those people. They could have just sat outside and said, okay, when they come out, we're going to fight and stuff. You know what I mean? No, she was literally murdering people before, right, they even got there. And then did she kill Batroc? I don't think Batroc's dead. I know he got shot. I don't think he's dead, right? Because they never really show the wound, so you don't know if he got shot in the leg or the arm or the chest. You don't know if he's got body armor, whatever, right? So anytime someone falls, and he did see fall on screen like he was dead, I don't think he's dead. He could come back.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that he gets shot, he's dead. Carly gets shot. She's a superhuman, okay, and she dies. And Sharon gets shot, but she lives, right? She's fine, right? So it's just funny to me how all of this stuff pans out. Sharon, to me, is just another director Hayward, right? Like, is another Carly and Sharon's character are literally just Hayward from WandaVision, right? They're introduced, but yet they don't deep dive into their backstory or what they're supposed to be. The payoff is not what we invested our time into, right? There's nothing there. It's just another empty character, like director Hayward. Hayward was very, like, his ending was like stupid, getting hit by, what's her name from the ice cream truck? I forget her name now.
Darcy.
Darcy, thank you. That's how Director Haywood, who was at this master plan of doing stuff.
Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah, you got the Scooby-Doo, unmasked him, right? That's basically, we were 1 second away from Sharon being Scooby-Dooed until she shot Batroc so he wouldn't,
I don't know how they, again, went around the powerful arcs and explanations that were Bucky, Sam, and even to a point John Walker, because everyone hated him. The poor guy. I know we aren't a really fan of his movie catalog, but at the same time, I don't think he deserved hate. Like, he was getting like threats for how he was playing. I'm like, we're supposed to hate him.
Well, if you're not getting threats nowadays, you're not doing it right.
True,
right?
True. that's just the standard for sure. But I mean, for people to not like him in the show, that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to think he's a dick. We're supposed to not like him. We're supposed to hate the fact that he has the shield. So he executed it to perfection. So I put him along in terms of enjoying the show along with Sam and Bucky. And again, I'm at a void at the villain, just as I was in Wanda. I enjoyed the progress especially culminating with Wanda in terms of her having to deal with loss and moving on and coping, and Vision learning, going through the struggle of doing his thing and trying to realize if he's real or not, and then meeting himself, and then himself basically realizing all of his thoughts are real, so we're probably going to get another Vision. And then it falls short with the Agatha, the whole thing, and then the Hayward. And we're basically the Agatha and the Hayward in this show, just like you were saying, are Carly and Sharon.
Yeah.
It also, and one more thing, it also asked me, as you were speaking just prior, leads me to ask this question: what this show, if it weren't, would it have been changed at all if the order of movies and releases weren't changed? If there was an extra scene they would have added.
Well, I think the whole plot was different.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been really interested to know if something was different at all, if anything.
Right. So there's so many similarities to WandaVision and this show, right? With things like the beekeeper in WandaVision is the sergeant in the helicopter they were trying to get across the border. It's like, what is that? Why were they trying to get that guy across the border, right? Never really told. Just, we need to get him before he goes over the border. Like, why did they want that guy? Like, that was never touched on, right? Walker's character, okay? Walker's character, as we talked about, I wanted to punch him in the face. That's what kind of character he was, right? But that's because he was playing a character that wasn't Captain America. He was a fake Captain America who is now, U.S. agent. His character and the first couple episodes was a nice build up to what he was supposed to be. But episodes 5 and 6, as Krebsy said in chat, 5 and 6 were like, they were shells. They were useless, right? They were just, his character became super dark instantaneously when he murdered that guy on the steps. Okay, he gets a 2-second trial of a slap on the wrist of you're no longer, but you're pardoned because of the decorations you have. We're letting you slide on this one, right? So you're no longer Captain America. And then he slides into this evil of he wants revenge. He wants revenge on Carly, but at the same time, in this episode, he puts that aside in a split second as being a super turned evil man who's gone off the deep end, stops the truck from going over, but then they start beating him up, and he lets go, and then he falls, and he takes the high road instead of taking the low road, even though his character was literally going super deep into, like, I want revenge. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's got full respect because now Sam is Captain America, and he, like, respects what they're doing. He still wants revenge, but his character went from a nice story arc to just dropping off the cliff. And I'm like, oh, so everyone's just buddy with him now? Like, they get along with him because they stole the shield from him? Do you know?
An awkward way to condense all that because of where they were and how many shows, how many episodes. Again, it's nice that they're not just like doing rid of him. He wasn't just meant for this show. It's good to see that he's going to be in the future. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of what we're asking for. I'm hoping in a movie continuity, because I don't think these shows are hitting in the right direction or giving us an expanded character background.
No,
they're not. And I don't think that's really what they're meant to do, because some of these shows are meant to be one-offs or one-off seasons. And we really don't get confirmation until probably the year before or months before they come out. So I guess it's my expectation now, and it's crappy, but at the same time, it was awkward, to say the least. Like, now they're just foregoing the fact, yeah, he killed a criminal, sure, but like, you just killed somebody with a shield. Like, all right, we're cool now. Like, nothing. There's no bad blood. There's no animosity. Everything's just taken care of.
Everything's fine.
So, yeah, but I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens if and when they form together this group that
right.
she's trying to get together.
Krebsy, exactly. Walker went from being the Punisher to Black Panther, wanting to revenge, being into peace within like a 20-minute span. He went from utter anger to Carly, like screaming at her, and then ended up going, oh, she's dead. Like, he had remorse because she died, even though she murdered his best friend, right?
Yeah.
I don't care. Maybe in time he could have remorse for her, not get some sleep over one night, and then all of a sudden I'm at peace with it. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work that way. Here's another thing, right? Bucky's arc is the best arc in this, better than Sam's, in my opinion. Okay, the only reason Sam's has got an arc is because they connected it to being a black man and his arc of the struggles, but really it wasn't his struggle, it was Isaiah's struggle. Okay, and Sam was piggybacking off of Isaiah's struggle of him becoming Captain America and him going to jail for 30 years, and Sam is basically taking the torch from him, and then that's his arc, right? Now he can get a bank loan, right? Because he's Captain America, right? And he's famous again. So he can go back to his town and fix his boat up, and the community all loves him, and he can get that bank loan now, right? Like, that's his arc. His arc from the very beginning was at the end of Endgame. Captain America, Chris Evans' character, right? Steve Rogers gave him the shield, knowing that you are the choice of Captain America. That's who I want you to be. You're Captain America. And that's basically it. So at the beginning of this, he gives it up because he's like, I'm not worthy. Even though the guy who was him gave it to me and said, you are worthy. Okay? And the whole story of Sam's character is that he was just in doubt of himself. But at the end, he became exactly what Steve Rogers wanted him to be, was Captain America. Yes, there's an arc there. Yes, there's a story there. Yes, they had some filler there and told you his backstory, where he's from, and his sister and his nephews, and how the struggle was. But it was kind of piggybacking off of Isaiah Bradley's character, where Bucky's character had a full arc, right? The struggles of coming back and being in Wakanda, and then being wiped of the Winter Soldier, and then coming to peace and scraping off the people's names in his book, and turning into a good man, right? Being a person that he wanted to be, like his buddy, his best friend, Steve Rogers. Okay. And I think Bucky's story was a nice arc in this, but it was also, they're both side characters, and Bucky took a backseat to another side character. So Bucky was the side character, where Sam became the main character. But Sam's arc, to me, wasn't as interesting as Bucky's arc, personally. I don't know what you thought.
Well, like I said, I enjoyed them both thoroughly. The only thing I think it failed on entirely was just the power struggle in a whole. The Winter Soldier, Bucky's character, has been someone I've liked. Probably my favorite standalone film is Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I don't know if I think he's going to probably hold on to that moniker. I think they're going to probably run with it. I don't
the
think
Winter
he's
Soldier?
Yeah. I don't think he's ever going to take that White Wolf moniker. I don't think that's just in the cards. I think that was just a nice little nod to the other adaptation within the comics when they said that to him in Endgame. So with that being said, I think he'll wear that moniker and try to put a different spin on it rather than having it be related to some mindless, murderous, genocidal killer.
Right. So I came across, I watched a video was talking about, it was a theory video on Bucky and Sam, like the shield. It was basically a theory on the shield, right? I sent it to Krebsy. I forget where, let me see what the source was again real fast why I look it up. The source is from Screen Rant, or is it Screen Crush? Okay. He talks about the shield, and the shield is not Captain America's shield. It's not the shield that he used, right? When he comes back in Endgame and hands Sam that shield is a different shield. Hence why Val says in this one that technically they don't own that shield, because that shield is not from this Earth, right? It's not from here. So this is the theory, okay? And the reason I'm bringing it up is that the theory is that the shield is from a different timeline, a different line where Cap took it from, okay? But he took it from Sam, who was Captain America in that timeline, okay? And Bucky was also Captain America in a timeline. And when Steve Rogers brings that shield back into this timeline, into this in this branch, okay, he gives it to Sam because it's Sam's shield from another timeline. Like, he gives him his shield because he is the Captain America from that timeline he took it from. And Bucky knows about it because Rogers already talked to him about it ahead of time before he got to that moment, right? This is a theory behind it. So while he's in this timeline, so obviously he's giving Sam's shield to Sam, and that's why he's like, this is you. Like, you are the choice of this. So in this theory, Bucky has already cleansed himself of the Winter Soldier, has already become Captain America in a different timeline, and this was Sam's timeline to become the what's it called? The Captain America of this timeline. And I was like, that's a pretty interesting theory, of what the shield is from. And that's why Steve gave it to him, because we're like, where did they get the shield from? Because it's not the shield that he originally used, right? It's a completely different shield that he used. He didn't even take it back with him when he went back to return the stones, right? He had no shield on him. He had Thor's hammer, right? He had Mjolnir with him. Okay, so it's a very interesting concept, and the reason I bring it up is because I think Bucky's total arc, like I said, I think they did do him dirty, as Chad's saying, right? Because at the end it was Captain America and Winter Soldier, and I was like, what? Come on. It was Falcon and Winter Soldier. Bucky's not Winter Soldier anymore, and Falcon is now Captain America. It should have been like Bucky Barnes, you know what I mean? It should have been like Captain America and Bucky Barnes or something, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't have been, or the White Wolf, or like you said, it should have been something along those lines, and they kind of did it I don't know.
I didn't mind it. I think it's him accepting the moniker and trying to be a different person with it. I don't know if I personally don't think we'll get a White Wolf acceptance until
but
or if he goes and is in the next Black Panther film.
If you're a murderer, right? I don't think you can keep that name of Winter Soldier. Everyone knows the Winter Soldier as a person that comes around and murders people.
The whole show was about him finding redemption. That's just how I'm reading it. I don't see why they would leave it on there for a reason other than, well, we have plans. It's like I don't think it's just a placeholder.
I would have liked to see. I know it wouldn't happen, but I would have really liked to see them both become like Captain Americas. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
share the moniker, because together they're better, right? Together they're better. Where one has the wits and the humanity, where the other one has the strength, and you know what I mean? Like, they're both different takes on the stuff, but together they would be, I don't know. Obviously it's not that way, but overall, I thought the series, again, after watching WandaVision and then having that ending that we had, I was like, okay, I was like kind of subdued by it. I was like, all right, let me go in. I wasn't as hyped for this show. I even said it vocally before it even started. I said, I'm not really that excited for this. And then I started getting excited for it. I was like, oh, the first episode, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like the espionage, it's like that type of stuff. I really like it. But now at the end of this, I'm like, it's not a terrible show in any way, shape, or form. It's a good show. But it's, again, Disney and Marvel need to get out of their own way, right? This is not traditional television. They don't need to make it 22-minute long episodes. They don't need to make it 44-minute episodes. They have all the time and the length that they need on their own platform. The only way you can watch this is on Disney Plus, right? Meaning the people that are paying, or if you're using someone else's account to watch it or whatever, okay, you have a captive audience on your network, on your show that are going to watch it, and yet they cheat themselves with the amount of information they can give us, right? Technically, this is a 6-hour-long movie. And at the end of the 6-hour-long movie, I don't believe it was a very good movie, right? I don't believe it was a very good overall series as far as plot holes and twists and turns. There was a lot of fat that they could have just chopped off and filled in with a lot better information. But I feel like they've kind of just short themselves now with WandaVision, right? Building up so much and then having so much at the end of the finale where they can't fill it all in. And the same with this one. They build up all these characters, all these villains, or all these possibilities, but they can't fill it in when it comes to ending the series.
For sure. You're not going to get any argument from me out of that, because we basically sat through all last season doing it, and we sat through this season doing it. And I'll be honest with you. I think I gotta put a little bit of blame on what The Mandalorian did to us. Even at the end of season 1 of The Mandalorian, it had us on the edge. And the finale on season 2, like, we don't need to reiterate what it did to us as a pop culture phenomenon.
Right.
So I think that standard of Disney Plus shows and what we got from Mando kind of set the tone and bar for Marvel. And I don't think Marvel literally had an intent to put something as groundbreaking as, a redigitized younger Hamill showing up as Skywalker. And it's unfortunate. Clearly, we don't get stuff like that on at a finale of a show. But if these shows are meant to be one-offs, WandaVision probably the biggest example, why not have something like that? When you want to create some sort of climactic value?
Yeah,
exactly. Because you got people that watch it, and I'll use the analogy of Game of Thrones, because the last season was probably the most divisive in terms of how people felt about it. And you tell people that are like, oh yeah, Game of Thrones is awesome, watch like the first 7 seasons, and they're like, well, what about the last season? They're like, it kind of does a little different. And that's the same kind of way I'd explain like WandaVision or Bucky, even though Wanda starts a little slow, but still, it's like it gets your interest, gets you to ask questions, it piques your mind. And then when it gets to the final episode, you have so many different thoughts in your head. You're like, are they going to check this box and that box and this one? And then they don't. And you're like, huh? What?
Yeah.
And then there are moments, and not to sound too coarse, there are moments that are awesome. We went over in this show, the Isaiah moments. Sam showing up in the full Captain America suit with the Falcon integration was awesome. It was a mixture of watching him be a Captain America, but with like Iron Man tech.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really something. And it actually gets me really excited to see his involvement in the future. And I can't wait to see him come fight again, and maybe in a movie, in a theatrical film. So there's plenty to be positive about, but just going back to your point about Disney Plus, and more specifically Marvel getting out of their way, I don't know if they need to find, or Feige needs to put someone in charge of these shows that are going to be like a Favreau or Filoni to these respective titles.
I think what Disney needs to do is they need to shift. I don't know if they're going to do it in this phase, but if they're going to look, and a lot has changed because of what's happening in the actual world with the pandemic and stuff like that, right? A lot of things got shifted around and moved and shifted. And I believe if WandaVision didn't come out until next year, right before the multiverse. Like, it took place between Spider-Man and the Multiverse of Madness, right? So you watch Spider-Man, then it kind of introduced Wanda in that, then did the show. Then the show kind of left you hanging. Like, it gave you filler. It gave you filler, and then it climaxes and is done inside the movie. I think that is a better recipe than what they're giving us right now. Now, maybe that was their plan in the beginning, and then everything got shifted and pushed, and they needed to make content for this streaming service because people were paying for it, and there wasn't original content, and now there is, right?
It would be really cool, like, after we do get all this stuff, after
watch it in
Spider-Man.
order, yeah,
or then to go like, hey, if you wanted to know what our plan was, they make some sort of, like, you know, tell all of, like, what did the virus fuck up? Like, some sort of thing, and be like, yeah, if it did work out, what we wanted it to do was put this first, and then that led into this, and this led into that, and it would have just worked more cohesively. But clearly the only thing that probably stopped most of this stuff is, I would say, money, and then production timing.
No, I understand that, human. But what I'm saying is, look, we're all. What I'm saying is, if they could do it again, whatever shows they're making. I was giving an example. I understand that the time frame of WandaVision takes place of when it does. I'm giving an example of what Marvel should do leading up to their other movies. They should use the television series as a filler, sort of like Carly's character, sort of like Agatha's character, sort of like Haywood's character. Like,
I think Black Widow is probably the best example. Like, when that movie comes out, and I hope it does well, but I hope, and I'm really praying for it to not turn out this way. But I hope after watching it, we're like, damn, I wish this movie would have came out when it was supposed to.
Right.
That's my biggest fear, because and I think this is probably everyone's biggest question. Is it too late to tell that character story? And is it too late to incorporate whatever they wanted to incorporate back then into now?
Yeah. I feel like all the shows are going to be, and now we have two shows to go by, right? We saw WandaVision. Okay. We've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. These shows are just filler. They're filler to get you to the next major movie, to have the next major event. They're not connected. They're literally just for the fans, to give you something to watch while you're waiting for the next big thing to come out, right? And again, everything got made, shifted differently because of what's happening in the world. Going into Loki, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I don't think anything major is going to come out of Loki. Not that I want to start reviewing Loki right now, but I don't think anything major is going to happen in Loki that affects everything on the outside, even with the Tesseract. Okay, I feel like all the stuff that's going to happen is going to be self-enclosed and self-contained
and isolated.
Yeah.
And I think so too. But why I guess I'm getting more excited of it now after watching the previous two is because going into these two, I felt like I had an understanding of things, and maybe when more trailers come out closer to when Loki arrives, we'll feel like we have more of an understanding there as well. Excuse me. But I feel like we, for the most part, will be going into Loki unaware of where it's going to take us or where it's going to lead us, because of the fact that he's dead, but now alive through a different timeline in an element that we haven't seen yet. We've been to New Jersey before. We've been to New York. We've been to Germany. We've done the things that we've saw. I know we didn't go through the decades in any other movie, but we've had real life interaction outside of the bubble of WandaVision, and we've done the secret agent stuff in Falcon before. So what we're venturing into in Loki will be something brand new. It's time. They're going to be bouncing through it as if like Bill and Ted. So that hopefully it's not as corny as that, but I think that sort of trajectory will be something brand new to our Marvel palette.
Right.
That for us that are kind of having such high expectations, that are watching these things week in, week out, love every bit of the movies, this will probably end up turning out to be the best one, just because this is new territory.
Right. So we're gonna switch gears and move to the call-ins, right? Real quick, I want to make sure, is T-Bone, are you in the supporter voice one waiting to come in here, or are you playing some video games and you're using that channel as a waiting ground? Let me know in chat if you're here. What did you think overall? I'll get more into questions and stuff like that, but what did you think overall of the series? Did you like the series? Did you out of WandaVision and this one, which one did you like better?
This one more than WandaVision, because the action, the Bucky arc, the Sam arc, even though some of it could be probably told a little differently in terms of some things, but the biggest plot hole this one obviously suffered from, in my opinion, was the overall villain, the power struggle, the storytelling of Carly and her movement. It was like a bunch of ragtag kids, basically, with super soldier serum being their only stopping power. And then obviously Sharon Carter. It's just that's really what I take away from this, and I'll tell people where they're like, okay, well, she was the bad guy, because my brother said that, like, okay, so like, what is she gonna get, the Infinity Gauntlet? That's literally what my brother said to me. And he's being facetious, and he's like laughing about, because we're so used to those ending credits having such a pivotal cliffhanging type moment to, like, shit, like the darkness is looming or heroes are on the way. Like, I walked away from this one like it was just like you literally could have filmed that with any senator just walking out of Congress, and then just went dun dun dun. It didn't strike any fear to me. I'm not afraid of Sharon Carter. I don't think any of us are afraid of Sharon Carter. I don't think any of the Avengers are afraid of Sharon Carter. Sure, she was passing out people, or passing out super soldier serum to a bunch of kids, but like, what I don't know. I need to see more of just her ominously walking out of the state capitol.
Thor throws a hammer at her, she's dead. Hulk flicks her with his fingers, she's dead. Like what is she?
Yeah, like what is she doing? What is she doing to survive or fight toe to toe with these people? Yeah, she held her own against a few people in Madripoor, but that I felt like she was always capable of. Yeah, like she was always capable of that. Now she's doling out power to fight Avenger level characters. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I want to know what her backstory is. I want to know, like, what
turned her into this person.
Yeah, what made her? Did she get snapped? Did she come back? Was she's like, you know what? F this. I'm going to Madripoor.
Yeah. Like I want. Did she see something? Did something happen to her? You just buried your aunt 4 years ago. Your great aunt.
Yeah.
You kissed Steve. You knew he fought for everything. You assumed he had a happy ending with your great aunt, and I don't think they're related, just to be clear. But it's like, who hurt you? Who hurt you? You were on the greatest path.
The government hurt her.
Yeah, the government hurt her. But at the same time, who really hurt you? You already knew the government was shady. You were on the run from the government the whole time when you were leaking stuff about stuff to Bucky in Civil War. So. I think that was the biggest flop. That was the boner moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very strange how the whole thing ended up. What did you think? What did you think of Sam's speech at the end? Like, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Sure.
Right. I thought it was good, but I thought it was lame at the same time. Like, there was no weight behind it when he's just literally shaking a finger at the congressman who doesn't give two shits, right? Like, he's like, you need to do better. You need to do better, right? I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but you need to do better. And it's like, well, what do you? He even asks him. He's like, what do you?
Yeah.
What do you want us to do?
It's like yelling at your dog for peeing on the rug.
Yeah, it's like he's like, what do you want us to do? What do you expect us to do? And he was just like, he's like, I don't know, but you need to do better. I don't have time to answer that for you. Right? I got other things to do. I'm Captain America now. I don't have time. I just saved the world from the flag smashers that were literally didn't know how to take out you guys. Right? Like gas in the room would have done it. Instead, they put him in a car and then drove it down the road to shoot him in an area where they were building a new skyscraper. It's like, was there no plan whatsoever that Carly had? Was there no plan? I don't know. The speech at the end was, I like it. I thought it was a moment for Sam, but I thought the writing was a little lackluster when it came down to you need to do better. Right.
And not to take away the triumphant moment that Sam got in this episode and all the stuff he had to surmount to take on and be confident enough to take on the moniker, and then him. I guess what that speech was trying to emulate, in my opinion, was how Cap, regardless of where you fell in the line of government, the government totem pole, he was going to call you out for stuff that was unjust and that you need to correct and have accountability. I think that was the overall moment of trying to the moment that he was trying to convey. But again, and this might be just me, where I felt the air was taken all out of me is when we were in the garage finding out Sharon Carter was a power broker. I'm just like,
yeah.
So everything else at that point, I'm just like, after finding that out, Carly just gets shot unceremoniously. Then, she takes the secret. Now no one knows that Sharon's the big bad. Oh God! Now they're gonna have to carry on this MacGuffin, which again I'm not too thrilled about. I unless Sharon Carter ends up being some giant over-looming kingpin to these big bads, and maybe she's working with Dreyfus. But at the same time, what is she bringing to the table that's going to be standing toe to toe? Does she have some I don't know, Luca Brasi type muscle?
Like what? Yeah.
What has she got? What is she bringing to the stage? Like they just listen. They just fought an intergalactic war. They have a space station in space. What the hell is she gonna do? I don't know, man. I don't know. And if all the villains are just winning coming up, this might not look out to be too hot.
Krebsy, you're gonna have to go into supporter voice 1 for a split second because I can't grab you from the LFG. I can't grab you. So just throw yourself in there, and I'll grab you real fast out of there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's in this series that I just don't understand. Like, it doesn't seem like they just flushed it out enough. They just didn't flush it out. They just didn't flush it out enough to I don't know, to tell us a coherent story. There's a lot of stuff. Like, okay, one, Taurus. I think Taurus had more of a backstory than Carly did, and we know nothing about Taurus, right? Besides that, he's kind of shady and he's interested in the Falcon's tech. Okay, Carly, she wanted to save the world. From what we really don't know, considering they just got back from being snapped. Okay, and we find out that Sharon's like hired Carly to give him the serum to be their muscle for them, but then she double-crossed Sharon by stealing the stuff to make 20 people so they could take over the world. Like, she's not even that type of person that you look at and go, oh, I'm gonna listen to this little young girl. What is she, like 20? I think Sam even says it, 20 something, like 25, 26-year-old, right? Like, she's done literally nothing of epic proportions for the people to rally around her. Even her own group didn't even want to say the one world, one people at the very end. She had to kind of intimidate them, and I was just like, oh, well, this is not going well. And she's I don't think she's dead. Okay, she got shot, and yes, she looked like she was dead, and Sam carried her down. But I have a feeling just
I hope she's
because,
dead.
just because, listen to me, just because Sharon Carter has strings to pull, that she gets her body and uses it for the serum, because the rest of it went bang and blew up from Zemo's butler. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else there. It was just like she was the martyr. Remember that? Remember I said that a couple episodes ago. I said she's going to be that martyr. We still don't know the outcome here, because Sam's in his speech is like, you need to do better, and everyone's listening to the speech. But at the same time, all the people are still angry at the government. All the people that were helping the Flag Smashers doing what they were doing are still mad. Sam's speech didn't just clear that up and be like, oh, well, the new Captain America's here. Let's all, like, this has nothing to do with just America. This was everyone around the world, around the universe, basically, but around the world that were interested on what the Flag Smashers stood for, which I don't really know what they stood for. But the people in the show, they were Flag Smasher supporters, and yet they still are. It's not, it's all cleared up now because Sam's like, you need to do better. Shake his finger at him. I don't know. Krebsy, what do you got for us this week with your, we should call it the hand grenade section, the grenade toss with Krebsy. Now. Yeah, with nukes. All right.
Okay, so we have info from the Carly actor that she was working with Carter before the events of the show, and that like
start again. Who had
that? Carly.
Okay, Carly. Okay.
And Carter.
Okay.
Were working together before the show. Carter wanted to use her as like a way to take over the world.
Okay.
And Carly didn't support that. She wanted
to take over the world herself.
She wanted change.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just the half glass empty or half glass full type of thing, right? Like,
yeah. It's two sides of the same coin.
Right.
I personally think that the character was like complete waste. They should have picked someone else. But
yeah, they should have used a single entity, and it should have been something like Brock Rumlow, Crossbones. They should have used something like that, and then they could have blew him up in some dramatic way in the end.
Yes,
but they need to put in some girl. They need to put in someone to change the gender to check a box. It's just to check a box. Carly, unfortunately, it was just to check a box, and they were like, oh, look, she played a character similar to what we want in Solo, so why not we have that actress? No, she died in the most unceremoniously way I can imagine, and it just showed that they didn't give a fuck about her character. Well, and I truly don't believe that all of the stuff they put into her lines and everything like that was just meant to go down by a 9mm bullet in the back by Sharon.
Right. Well, here's another thing, right? At the very end, when all the rest of the Flag Smashers are being transported to the raft before they get blown up, the guard that puts them in there says one world, one people, right? So this goes back to my point of there's still people out there that don't give two shits that Sam's Captain America and like everything's right in the world now, right? They still have an agenda. They still have a thing that's going on. Who's going to be that person now that is take the reins of the Flag Smashers, right? Who is? They're still out there. They're still looking for someone to be, because it's an organization now. It's not, it's a movement, right? It's a movement. So someone has to take the reins. Obviously, we don't know that person.
Didn't the one that crashed in the river, isn't he still alive?
Well, we don't know, because they say at the very end, Captain America, we found that guy out in the river. He's like, I'll take care of it. And then he flies off, and you're assuming that he takes care of it, right?
I don't think that he would kill him.
Well, no, he wouldn't kill him, but he would get him. I guess
put him to the raft.
Oh, you're saying that he would go to the raft or something. Yeah, I guess.
And become the true Flag Smasher character.
And then another story is Zemo, right? Zemo, you look at him as like he is okay because now the super soldier serums are off the streets, but there's still two, right? There's John Walker, and there's still Bucky. And yes, he's
okay.
He's okay with Bucky,
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
But there's still John Walker, right? So he can't sleep ease at night. And there's also that other guy we just brought up in the helicopter, right? There's still that extra guy.
I have a theory that we were supposed to get 2 post-credit scenes but since Black Widow's not out yet, they had to cut one and they turned it into the Zemo scene.
Wait, who? It was supposed to be a Zemo one?
No, okay. So last week I brought up the whole. It would be cool if the post-credit scene was Taskmaster with Zemo. What I think is they took that scene, they had to cut it up, make the Zemo scene that we currently have.
I think Taskmaster's in the raft, and they cut it out.
Yes.
Oh.
I think Taskmaster's in the raft, and whoever was under the mask, they're not ready to reveal because I doubt he's still just, or he or she, whoever it could be, is just sitting in a jail cell with that skull mask on. I think you're right, Krebs. I think that was possibly a pretty decent fan theory that we could have got Taskmaster at the raft at the end of this show if we got the original launch for Black Widow when we were supposed to.
Chat's saying that the guy that was in the helicopter, that scene did take place after, or at least they thought it does. So that guy that was in the helicopter was in that group that got blown up in the truck. Here's the thing I would like to see with Carly. You could have taken her and you could have made her, I don't know, did something with her. Maybe that grenade that Sharon used in the guard that had the acid in it or whatever the hell it was that was like melting that guy's skin. That would have been interesting if she did that to Carly, and Carly got all messed up. Okay, but because she's got the serum in her, she could withstand it or whatever. Okay, and then she gets caught and put away. That way, now Carly has some sort of anger towards Sharon, and now she's really the leader of the Flag Smashers, right? She becomes the Flag Smasher, like in the comics. Like she's that leader of it. She becomes the symbol, not just an organization of it. I don't know. Killing her off, waste of air basically for the entire series, and now there's really nothing there. So now we're left knowing nothing or what the organization is. Yet we still know it's out there, but yet who's going to be running it now? It's weird.
So did either of you get the feeling at the beginning of the episode whenever that smoke bomb came in that was referencing Green Goblin?
I didn't get that. I did see that afterwards. Someone said because the grenade had the green on it that it could be the Hobgoblin, and then that's the tech that I'll say that's all BS, even because that's Sony. That's a Sony thing, and I don't think
people are wanting.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Feige is going to go. I know they signed a new deal with Sony or whatever with the Spider-Man stuff, but I don't see them crossing promotion, bringing a villain like that over to this universe. But if they do, great. But I don't see it happening.
Okay. So why do you think Spider-Man didn't show up?
Why do I think Spider-Man didn't show up?
I have a theory.
This is taking place few weeks before Far From Home, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's in Far From Home.
You think it's the same?
I think Far From Home would have to be in Europe at the same time, or if this is just happening maybe a few days after, if it's happening simultaneously, he's on the run because he's got his identity out there. It's my only two ideas. He's either in Europe or he's on the run because of the identity.
You guys in chat are laughing about the Two-Face moment, but it's better than what the hell that we got. I'm sorry. It's better than what we got because she's literally a villain that has no purpose to be in the show. There needs to be somewhat of a payoff for her, and there was none.
So let's just go straight to it. I personally think that was not Sharon Carter. I think it was a Skrull.
Oh, stop. Yep. Why would she have the face mask thing on it then?
I'll take that. I mean, if I find that out, Krebs, then we're probably cooking with some gas.
Secret invasion.
Yeah.
So do you think Sharon Carter's dead? And she's just playing Sharon Carter?
No. I think that she's up in space with Nick Fury. One of the Skrulls up there saw her and probably got some info from her, came down, is using her moniker as leverage for something.
Interesting.
Who do we?
I think then we'd be cooking with something past just regular old espionage. Now we got like an intergalactic type espionage / takeover type thing. That would be a little different.
If it is a scroll, okay, like you're saying, now we're cooking with some gas, right? But who was she talking to on the phone? At the very end, who is she talking to? Like saying, "Get ready, because now I'm gonna have secrets of all this stuff." Who is she talking to? Is she, like her henchman?
Could have been talking to the one of her leaders of the scroll. She could have been talking to Mr. Osborn.
Yeah.
She could have been talking to the Tinkerer.
Those are good. Those are good suggestions. Definitely, relevant to what's going on. It's just who. She's supposed to be walking away as like the big bad that got away. Who the hell could she be possibly talking to? And we're going to assume that they're going to be even bigger than what she's really not. I'm sorry, because she's not really a villain or big bad in any sort of way, shape, or form. So it would definitely be something of interest if she was a Skrull and they were setting the stage of the Skrull were like, why can't we just have this world? Like, that's essentially what that was about.
What if that she, even though she's a power broker, the power broker is this high class like person that everyone knows, but maybe the power broker is just a pawn piece. Maybe she's working for someone bigger, and now she's that, what you said earlier in the show, Wolvie, she's that insert of, person behind the scenes now that's a double agent type of thing, right? So yeah, she's not the villain, right? She's working for someone else. And then
I can't figure who that could be.
Because who that sounds better to me than her being the villain.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. But like, who can we even speculate could have that big of an earthquake effect to be like, oh man, like that's it, like that's the next big thing. Like, what type of like business?
Doom?
Sure. Like, I was just gonna kind of suggest that, but
Stryker.
I'm concerned that another interesting one. But I'm concerned about these major characters that we just suggested, that come with so much more of a backstory and involvement of other pieces. Are we going to get a villain like Doom before we get a Richards introduction? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be cool. Like, can you imagine if we got a Doom and be like, who's going to stop Doom? And it's just like, pan over to Reed just being a nerd. Just we're learning, like, that's the introduction.
Right.
We figured that out. Like, that would be cool. It'd be new. It'd be different to get the villain. And then they got to find basically find the Fantastic Four, who aren't Avengers yet, to stop that next Avenger threat level entity. I think that would be interesting. But again, like, I don't know if they're going to introduce someone like that before they introduce the hero ensemble. Same thing with Stryker. They're going to introduce Stryker before they get into like X-Men type introductions.
Yeah,
I mean, you could make the movies like prequels.
Sure. I think they could pretty much get away with that. Pretty much anywhere now. But I guess we'll see how well that goes with Black Widow. I'm really curious about that, because I really don't want that movie to turn into a Wonder Woman 84.
Here's the thing I don't like about Skrulls, right? This is like time travel, but 10 times worse. Like, anytime something happens in this world of the MCU and we don't like it or something's wrong, we're just like, it's Skrull. Right? It's always it's the answer to everything. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's a Skrull.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like plot armor. You know what I mean? It's just plot armor.
Something to fall back on in terms of like, okay, like that makes sense in terms of our questioning, in terms of them telling an easier story, for sure. I think that
a few like backing facts. Like, she didn't die or get that hurt from getting shot. Zemo knew of the power broker before the events of Civil War and him getting locked up.
Yep.
Carter didn't go rogue until
after
Civil War.
Right.
So the only possible way it's human Carter is if she was working under Nick Fury's nose, being a sneaky son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I hopefully down the road we look back on this 2 years from now after a couple movies, and we're like, oh, that makes sense. But if there is no payoff, then you're just like, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah, I would love to go back and watch this and watch WandaVision, especially seeing that ending with her reading the Darkhold and be like, man, what that sets up, that really sets up something big. And I'll even hope for the same thing. I really hope Sharon Carter walking out of the Capitol in DC really sets up something big, because at this point, I'm not. At least at the end of WandaVision, I felt confident to be like, oh man, that looks like it's going to be big. I don't know if I can say the same about Sharon walking out of the building.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Hey everyone.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, doing good. I feel awkward about. I feel the only reason why I feel a little vindicated about her being power broker is because it's the one Mephisto / Ralph Boner thing. Was the only Mephisto thing that wasn't a Ralph Boner. Everyone thought she was a power broker, and guess what? She actually was a power broker. But now that she is a power broker, I'm like, it kind of doesn't fit. I thought she would have given up the moniker and said, I quit this. Someone else can be power broker once she got back, to America. And she's been, her path, she's no longer an enemy of the state, but she wants to continue being power broker. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make, I don't get it.
Well, was Thunderbolt Ross in the credits? Because I never confirmed that. Because everyone's telling me that he was in the credits. So then why didn't he show up?
His name is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, his name is in the credits. Like it says it on it says it on documentation. It says
yeah,
Ross.
There was potentially something that got cut, like an end cut scene that he was supposed to be in, or the original plot of the show was supposed to be in a different direction, and he could have been possibly in something. Right.
I think this show suffered because of Black Widow's release date.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to find out later on that this show suffered a lot of really cool moments because of the things they weren't able to show or talk about because of the anticipation leading up to this movie. Because we know Ross is in Black Widow.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Brain says in chat, since Black Widow was originally supposed to come out before this, could it be another of a Russian assassins like Natasha, maybe a sleeper type agent?
It's Taskmaster. And it's been more than likely Taskmaster's one of the sisters, one of the family members, if I had to guess it. And I think it's probably Rachel Weisz's character, unfortunately. And I say
you
that
think
because,
she's Taskmaster?
Unfortunately, I do. I do think Taskmaster is going to be a woman, if not the sister, the blonde sister, Rachel Weisz.
Well, the blonde sister's too short. Taskmaster's taller.
I heard the blonde sister
whatever.
I heard the blonde sister was supposed to be, and either she was supposed to be in this, or she's going to be in one of the other upcoming ones. I don't know if it's Loki but she was supposed to be. I can't remember the blonde sister's name, but yeah, she's supposed to be in one of the series.
The
cameo.
The Taskmaster character would be too big within the Marvel ranks to just be one and done, especially within a movie that's taken place in the past of what we've already watched transpire, especially now it being 3 years out since Endgame. It would be a lot to find out that character dies in that movie, and that's the end of the Taskmaster character.
So do we not know there's no actor that's playing Taskmaster as of yet?
No, he's got his mask on.
He's just got his mask on. You're 100% correct. Then that's going to be the.
I think it's Rachel Weisz.
It's going to be Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, I think it's Rachel Weisz too.
And I think unless Rachel Weisz is going to be hanging around for a while, and we just got nothing but female villains, man. And that's. I don't want to sound sexist, but at the same time, are they really setting up an entire female villain cast for the next few movies? I know Kang the Conqueror's supposed to be lined up down the road, but other than that, we really don't know who's going to be the villain in the Eternals. My guess is Angelina Jolie is going to end up being some sort of double crossing character that they're going to have to turn out to be. It's just, I don't know, my hunch for that flick. I would assume along with the ominous way that Owen Wilson acts in Loki, he could possibly be an antagonist. Maybe even another female character in that show, and there's a female character that's on, like, I guess the board of the tribunal. So I don't know. I don't know what I think. There's a giant villain vacuum in the MCU right now, and I didn't think it was going to be this void of it in Phase 4 with no more Thanos, no more thing to talk about for the next 10 years. But I think now more than ever, there needs to be some sort of villain to kind of like get together, to get behind, whether it's one or 3 heroes.
Right.
There's got to be something, because you can't keep getting Agatha all along stuff.
Yeah.
Love and Thunder has the God Butcher.
And he'll probably die that movie.
Yeah,
he'll probably die.
I don't know his comic book story.
It's just another stepping stone. It's just another person that was just rocked by Thor and Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Like that's just who it is. It's just that it's nice that Christian Bale is going to be rocking it, because it's potential to have a good villain. But what's her name? My gosh, I'm forgetting her name. No, the actress, the amazing actress who plays Hela.
Portman?
Oh, Hela.
Hela.
You're talking about I know you're talking about.
Yeah, it's completely slipping my mind. But like, look, she was Hela, and she's as prestigious as they get in terms of actors, and she was killed in that movie. So I did
not like that she died in that movie either.
Sure, and I fully feel that
Kate Blanchett, just let you guys know.
Thank you. They were fully capable of killing her in Thor, the Ragnarok. I definitely think that Bale is on the chopping block next. He's going to have a moment where he's going to look like, how are they going to stop him? And then they're going to kill him.
If they're going to kill Hela, then they're going to kill anyone else that shows up in Thor.
I don't think Hela's dead.
Oh man, I don't know, man.
That's debatable too. If one piece of theoretically, if one piece of Asgard survived, then her spirit should spawn from, because you can't get rid of her unless you get rid of all of Asgard. I don't know, but yeah, I feel crispy on that one.
Real quick, I want to know, Gritter, what did you think of the last episode? What did you think of this final episode?
I liked it, man. I like that Isaiah got a memorial tributed to him at the end.
Yeah.
I like that. It's cheesy, but I do like that Sharon. We actually got a theory that panned out. It wasn't like a fake out, like Mephisto or Raph Boner. And the last thing I really liked was I did like that. To me, whether you like it or hate it, this series did a good job of explaining to the characters in the MCU and us, the audience watching, why what Steve Rogers already knew as Old Man Cap when he handed Sam the shield. He should be the next Captain America. And I feel like I think we would have got the series anyway, but I feel like just the MCU characters and even us, the audience, would not have gelled right with him had this series not happened, and then the next movies come out, and all of a sudden he gave me the shield, so I'm Captain America now. People looked at him like, what?
I agree with that. I do agree. Like at the end of Endgame, if he just handed him the shield, and then all of a sudden, like the next Captain America 4 came out, and he was Captain America, it would be a little weird. So I agree with you there that this series needed to happen to give a little bit of backstory to him. So I agree with that. Yeah.
And the only thing disappointing was they killed Carly. I did not like that. I was like, she could have been a recurring villain, or she could have been an anti-villain. She could have been not quite like a Loki, because only Loki can be Loki, but one of those kind of like Zemo, where her intentions were good, but she went about the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah.
So Sharon Carter, I think that she's going to appear in Armor Wars and hunt down White Vision.
So you're thinking White Vision is going to be in Armor Wars on top of that? Okay.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you think Sharon's going to make a comeback there? I don't think we see Sharon again until, actually, now that you say it, because Rhodey's in Armor Wars, and we definitely going to have the Secret Invasion, which she's definitely coming back for Secret Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if she's coming back for Armor Wars. It would be interesting though, because who's the villain in Armor Wars? You know what I mean? Like who's Rhodey going up against? Sharon Carter?
It could be AIM. It could be Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
It could be Hammer. It could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Think about that. Sharon Carter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The
villain. Dun dun dun. The big bad Sharon Carter. Yeah, I don't know. Her weakness is her uncle or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't know.
Old Cap.
Yeah, old Cap's her secret kryptonite. She sees him and her legs start quivering.
Jeez. Okay, so there's more rumors that Disney is trying to make like Daredevil, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Punisher a part of the MCU. What's your thoughts on the stories? Not the story.
They did mention that they are bringing back, right? So we do know for confirmed the Punisher. What's his name? Jonathan. Is that what his name is? The actor?
John Bernthal?
John Bernthal.
John
Thank
Bernthal.
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was going to say Jonathan, but we do know he's coming back as the Punisher. And we do know, I believe, I forget the actor's name that played Daredevil. I believe he's coming back as well. Look, when Netflix...
being
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Yeah. When
Netflix...
Netflix made those series, I loved them. I was like, this... I'll say this right now. The Netflix Marvel shows are better than the WandaVision and
so far.
And 100% agree.
The first season of Daredevil was probably my favorite out of all of them, and I enjoyed Punisher. Not to knock on it, but
I would love
I was most excited because it was so close to the Avengers films, and they were even referencing the stuff that was going on. They were referencing New York. They were referencing everything that was going on. So technically, it did it was already a part of the MCU. But it's nice that they're going to elaborate and continue telling those stories.
I would love if they brought all those characters back from the Netflix show and brought them right over. The Defenders, everyone, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, all those characters come back over and just implement them right into this universe.
Moon Knight's in the works. Those characters are going to get a kind of resurgence.
Yeah. Yeah, all those shows were great, and I wouldn't mind at all if they came over to this MCU. What's the next one?
Since Mortal Kombat was such trash, and the writer is writing Shang-Chi, should we get pre-ammo loaded and say that's going to be garbage too?
It's hard not to prejudge it, especially that Shang-Chi isn't necessarily the biggest name within comics, not to take away anything that he's done or anything that he's known for. It's definitely the martial arts hero. But at the same time, like a martial arts hero falls immensely to the popularity of things like mutants, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four. Like those things will always take first and second, to where Shang-Chi, just the master of martial arts character, will take like a hot fifth or sixth in terms of interest. So I don't know. I think unfortunately it could very well be a recipe for disaster. This writer and a story character that isn't necessarily well known and or represented within this this current MCU iteration.
I just looked up the writer, and he is doing Shang-Chi, and he's also doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. And this guy's got to have good connections, man. He must have babysitted someone's kids to get these jobs, because he's getting a lot of stuff from this market. You know what I mean? Like doing all these superhero films and stuff.
Did he do the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
He did not. His credits for writing so far: he did Doom, Horseman, Telltale, The Expendables, Expendables 2, Expendables 3, Godzilla, Jean-Claude Van Damme Johnson, Zombieland, Double Tap, Wonder Woman 1984, Mortal Kombat, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, Expendables 4, and Hercules.
I'll be honest with you, man. Those movies aren't hot.
No.
Yeah.
Those movies aren't hot. Those movies don't got great stories. and those movies suffer a lot because of the holes in those narratives. I'm worried. I'm worried. I think and I've said this before, the only MCU standalone film that really didn't hit me a type of way, it was just because of the marketing for it, was Captain Marvel. But even I still felt privy to the fact that I still appreciate it as a Marvel movie. I don't know if a guy doing martial arts on a bus is going to do it for me. So I'm more than willing and capable to be proven wrong. And just I'm looking for the next MCU film to surprise me the way that Guardians 1 did. Guardians 1 was probably one of the most refreshing Marvel experiences I've had.
Yeah, just a fun.
I want that again.
Yeah, it was just a fun film.
It was something not known. Disney destroyed this one because of the fact that they were still able to find a way to put it in their parks in Orlando. And find a way outside of that clause, that east of the Mississippi clause, which is huge. But the fact that it was so well taken for not being so known, I'm wanting that next, and I'm hoping Shang-Chi can do it, but I don't have high expectations.
Look, go ahead, Gritter. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Krebsy. Go ahead.
I think that Shang-Chi will fail. And I have low hopes for Black Widow. That ship has sailed, and we needed that 6 years ago.
I'm worried that that's the case too. I'm worried that we would have needed Black Widow. I think they should have just bit the bullet, because they were obviously trying to prolong money, because they were like, okay, the pandemic's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. Shit, it's lasting long. What are we going to do? Okay, what's the next best move to make some money? Let's push it back here. Let's launch these few things, get people excited, and then we'll put it out on Disney Plus. I think they're gonna, unfortunately, I think that movie's gonna lose a lot of money, and hopefully it's not because of storyline shit, but rather it's because of where they placed it.
Yeah, well, it boggles my mind. We talk about how Hollywood's like woke and how they put the women like in the forefront because there's not strong enough women, but yet Black Widow has been one of the strongest female characters in the last 10 years, and they just didn't do justice for her, right? And now it's like they're giving her like a pity movie, like 6-8 years later when they were supposed to, you know, like she should have had a movie before the first Avengers movie came out, or hell, even the second before Ultron came out. You know what I mean? Like she should have had one way back when. And instead, they're doing it now, and it's got pushed back another year and a half or whatever from when it was originally supposed to. And I want that movie to succeed because I do like Scarlett Johansson as that character, and it's sad because of what happened in the end game that we know her outcome and we don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's a prequel, and there's no substance there. We talked about this in the past episodes. Like nothing can happen in that movie where I'm like, oh,
she's hurt.
She's hurt. She's gonna die. Like she's literally jumping out in the trailer, flying in midair, like walking off things off. Like I like she's badass, right? She doesn't even have superpowers. She's just a kick-ass Russian girl. Okay, like, and we're okay with it because we like the character, right? And yet they haven't done justice for her. So hopefully the movie doesn't suck. As far as Shang-Chi goes, the comic book, he was introduced in like 1973 and got his own comic book. I'm looking it up right now in 1983. I don't think there's like many big fans of like this character, and I feel like they're trying to do what they did with Iron Man. Now, again, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man put Marvel back on the map as far as Marvel MCU movies going forward. Shang-Chi is not the D-list comic book character that you're gonna pick up like and love like Iron Man. All right, it's just not. And even if it is a great movie, even if it is a fantastic movie, it's going to be popular, but it's not going to be like the best. You're not going to be rooting for Shang-Chi over Captain America or Spider-Man or Thor. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's to me, he's not that character that'll ever be the leader of anything. He's just that side character that he's a cool character, right? But at the same time, he's not that lead. Yeah, he got his own movie, but he's not that lead that could like lead the Avengers. You know what I mean? He can lead into the next phase that they're going into.
Well, Spellman, this is going off the whole comic thing, said that in this series we had a cut storyline that will either be turned into a comic book or a Snyder cut.
really, involving. Do we
Well,
know?
he didn't say. He said he would have to keep it under wraps so that it doesn't spoil things.
Well, I wonder if it's something that we've seen so far. We've seen two works already between WandaVision and Falcon. Wonder if there was some extra scenes that didn't make it, like we were just talking about. I'd love to know if there were a few extra end credit scenes, if there were other things that they were going to incorporate, either with Ross or to link the villains and or the anti-heroes, whatever we want to call them, that are in Black Widow. I'm curious. I'm really curious what that would have looked like.
So you think that the missing plot line was the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers?
Mm-hmm. I'm. It's going to sound crazy because it's just Taskmaster's fighting a bunch of Russians and Black Widow's just helping them. And this might be reaching from my end, but I think Taskmaster is under control of Ross. I think Taskmaster is taking orders from Ross. And I think we'll learn that Ross is kind of the one that's in control, because look, we know what Taskmaster, his gifts are. He can mimic anyone's abilities. He's even doing it. He's shooting bow and arrow. He's got a shield like Cap. I doubt there's some Russians that are doing that, some Red Room type Russians. I think this entity, this Taskmaster, was created by Ross within the likeness to do all those things that the Avengers were capable of doing.
Okay, if we go down the Ross path here, right? Like, obviously, it's almost like the Red Skull storyline, right? Like, he's going to be in charge of a group. Hydra, he's in charge of Thunderbolts. He's trying to take over the world or try to do whatever he's trying to do. They put him in a corner, and he takes the serum himself and becomes the Red Hulk, right? Well, if you do that, you need to introduce Banner, right? You have to bring Hulk back into the mix with Ross, right? I mean, and I don't see them going down this path anytime soon. Now, maybe they are setting up the Thunderbolts and stuff like that, but I don't see that happening anywhere before like 2026. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it happening this phase at all.
Where I come to the idea that Ross could either be taking it upon himself to maybe cut loose ends to handle certain problems like this old Russian syndicate, I guess, or what we'll call them,
right,
is because where the timeline is in this movie. In this movie, it's in between,
right,
Infinity War and Endgame. Half the world is blipped. Every country is probably going through a struggle in terms of their government and who's in control. I probably would make a little sense here that Ross has found a way to lift himself from the confines of having someone above him, and now he's making his own decisions. It would be really interesting to see the dynamic. And again, I hope and I hope this movie doesn't suffer from when it was released.
So if in your case though, then if it let's say the Thunderbolts and stuff is like a prequel and it takes place in the time frame of, you're saying it would take the time frame between the blip, right? The Thunderbolts? No, it couldn't.
I think no. I think what I'm saying is I don't think there's the Thunderbolts are formulating. I think we're going to learn in this film more than likely that Ross was probably had the puppet strings for Taskmaster, and that he has a agenda of his own. Now that the world was in disarray, he's seen what it was. With no one in charge, that he needs to take
right,
control.
He needs to take control, right?
Exactly. I think he needs to make his own team, and I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the one that's recruiting for him.
I do believe that that's the way they're going to go down, but again, I don't see it happening for quite some time. I think they're going to be building it up slowly, sort of like when they built up end game where the Infinity Stones, like throughout the series, they're slowly going to be piecing together the and obviously Walker was the first in as the pickup, the first draft pick for the Thunderbolts, and then they'll build up slowly throughout the next couple series of stuff. Like Taskmaster might be the second pickup, and then they might break out Zemo down.
Taskmaster. I was gonna say, I think Taskmaster is the first. I think Taskmaster is the reason, and they want to be like, we need to get other people.
Oh, I guess you're right because it is a prequel. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I think Taskmaster is like the beginning of it. Now that Zemo's at the raft, that's number 2, and then Dreyfus approaches Walker. I think that's kind of where it's going to be. We're already starting to see.
Yeah, because she's already got contact with Zemo. She's already got contact with Zemo because she says, "Look, Zemo took care of these people." Like she has them on speed dial. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, I think we very could well get this assimilation of this group even before we figure out who the next really big Thanos type bad is. Yeah, maybe.
All right. Good. Or you got any thoughts on this?
Sorry guys, I'm off mute now. I had to go in the grocery store. I'm out now, so I'm gonna talk again. So so
grocery shopping. I'm in my office over here, and you're grocery shopping being on the show. That's amazing.
multitasking. So I had a question. Are the Thunderbolts villains?
Like an
anti-hero.
They're okay. They're kind of like
think about like Suicide Squad. Less like, oh, we're gonna blow you up if you do what we do.
Okay. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Type thing. Yeah.
My thoughts are, I do think this show was hurt because of Black Widow being pushed out. I do think I hope it does not suffer because of the day and date release they're doing with simultaneously putting on. I think if anything, if they do the $30 price tag, whatever, it may just push even more people to not watch it at home, I guess. But I think I'm like with Krebs, and I think you, Wolf. I think y'all both said the ship may have sailed, or it's probably going to suffer worse because they pushed it out. I do think Black Widow was. I think this is not like anything negative against. I don't think they did it to hurt Scarlett Johansson, but it hurt the character, man. I think the character deserved more respect in this. I think they should have just pushed it out now, man. I mean, look. We have other movies that have done good, but anyway, that ship has sailed. But as far as the Thunderbolts,
they tried to continue just to make money. To make the biggest dollar that they could, and they should have just released it on Disney Plus way back when they should have.
Yeah, I mean, there's other movies I can complain about too, like Top Gun 2 moving. But anyway,
oh man.
Yeah. But so Thunderbolts. I don't know that much about the Thunderbolts, but I do agree that. Most likely Taskmaster is the first one, and I do think Louis Dreyfus is also working for Ross. I do believe that.
Yeah, I think she's like the recruiter.
Yes, yeah, she is, and I wouldn't be surprised if William. I think it's William Hurt, right?
Yes,
William Hurt would have been in this show had Black Widow not been pushed.
I think it would have been. Yeah, go on.
And I also think Rachel Weisz is Taskmaster. I thought about that for a while. I'm like, they never. I think I could have sworn someone is credited for Taskmaster.
Nope, I'm looking it up. He's not.
No one. Okay, then it's most likely gonna probably be her. It's gonna be
and that's the biggest thing of why it led me to believe that it is her. It's just who else is kind of ominous in the trailers, and it's all her. It's all her.
When I think back, it's like it's always that joke of you never see Clark Kent and Superman in the same room, but in the trailers, you literally never see Taskmaster and Rachel Weisz's character in the same room.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to explain, where did you disappear to? Oh, I went to go whatever Clark Kent disappears.
Exactly.
I'm gonna start a debate. Okay, so since we know that Black Widow is coming out after Loki. I don't think that character in Loki is Black Widow.
And I was speaking to someone, a friend of mine. I think that's time. In the whole show is dealing with time, and I think that time is going to be something Loki travels through in terms of dealing with different versions of the timeline. And I think he goes to Vormir. And in this timeline on Vormir, Widow is Red Skull. Not Red Skull, but I think she's
in place of Red Skull. Yeah, Keeper of the Stone.
Yes, I think in this certain timeline that it's Vormir. That they're sitting on Vormir.
Yeah. What purpose would she have?
I think I don't know if he's after the stone, but what he's doing. But time is of a facet in this show, and he's traversing it. He's doing something for Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson is seeking his help to correct things. What I don't know, but to not assume, or at least give some sort of credence, be like, that silhouette looks awfully like her.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not saying it's 100% her. I'm not. I just think it kind of looks like her. And then the backdrop looking very similar to Vormir leads me to think that that's her. And in that instance, Loki is traversing the timeline. And in this timeline, she is bound to that planet in the same fashion that Red Skull is, because of her sacrifice in the timeline of the movie, of the timeline in Endgame.
I'm looking at the clip now. I don't believe that's her. I don't believe it's Scarlett Johansson, and I know this is going to sound sexist, but the ass. You can look at the ass and you can tell it's not her.
I can give it you. Yeah. Okay.
Captain Marvel had a stunt double for one.
Very true.
I guess, but she's not doing
America's ass was not really
she's not doing she's not doing anything in that scene.
The hair, the black ensemble, the silhouette is enough to at least give me a hunch. And the fact that we don't see the person's face is even more to at least led me to believe that it could be her. I'm not saying it's 100%.
I think that's what it's meant to be, though, right? It's meant to be to make you think it is her, but I don't think it is.
Good job at it.
It's a good theory. I'm
right. No, I agree with you. I'm saying, like, I don't think it's her. I mean, just like
it very well couldn't be, and I'm not going to die in that hill and say that it's her, but they are dealing with time,
reversal
and
butt double.
Through it.
fellas, I'm going to die in the hill. I'm going to throw my Krebsy-sized bomb grenade. I'm going to die in the hill. It's Mephisto in a wig. He wants to turn around and be like, it was Mephisto all along.
It's Mephisto. He doesn't have an ass just like Scarlett Johansson. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a reversal butt double. Yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly. Devil in the black dress.
Yeah. We've seen actresses in set photos. It's not ScarJo. Yeah. That's what. Look, I think it's supposed to make you think it's her, but it's not her. To me, look, and I would look if Wolvie's correct, fantastic. But as what I'm seeing from it, I don't think it's her. Maybe it could be, but I don't think it is. Plus, if he's on that side, I'll go on the other side just so we have a conversation to have when it comes out and we talk about it. But I truly believe it's not her. But we'll see. What else you got?
What is everyone expecting for the future of the MCU, given that WandaVision and Falcon weren't as high on the ratings as everyone expected?
What do you mean by the future of the MCU? You talking about the futuristic shows like Loki and Miss Marvel and Hawkeye and stuff? Yes. I kind of said mine, so I'll go first. What we did with WandaVision, I mean, with all the Easter eggs and all of the speculations and all the stuff that we were doing, and none of that happened. I toned down a bit for this episode, for this series, and this one kind of subdued my expectations as well. Two shows came out, two shows kind of on par. I don't think, like I said, I think they're each going to be self-contained. I don't think they're going to push the story of the MCU majorly forward. I think they're each going to have their own closed little episodes, like a blip, like a speed bump to the next movie, just for filler for everybody. So I think they're good. I just don't think they're going to give us what I thought they were going to give us. Like, I was expecting like movie type of plot points in between while we were waiting for movies, right? Like, I was like, oh great, it's a 6-hour movie instead of a 2-hour movie. They can tell us a lot more information, but so far in both series they've given us a lot of information that they don't have a payoff at the end. So Loki, I'm going in with super subdued expectations. Like it seems like another WandaVision. Like it could go anywhere and do anything, and I don't want to jump and dive too far into it and get disappointed with it. So going forward, I'm going to keep my expectations pretty subdued moving forward with the series or with any series they come out with.
Sadly, for me, I kept all my expectations low for all these shows because they're not the movies. So they have a very low bar for me to jump over to please me. And so far, I've been pleased by both WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. But it's like I still feel like there's a void because of there being lack of movies being pushed out. I mean, that's because of the pandemic, but I don't want Marvel to get too comfortable with we can just throw everything on Disney Plus. It's like, no, you can't. You gotta, they're meant to supplement, not replace.
Right.
Yeah.
Add to. It's the topping on top of the cake. It's not the cake.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm really, honestly, my sights are set on, I know it could be 5 years whenever Kevin Feige wants to feel like he's done, making people guess when they're going to appear. My sights are set on Fantastic Four and X-Men. That's, to me, it's not this phase. It could be phase 5, phase 6, phase 10. I don't care. But until he can prove me wrong, I mean, that's the only thing I really have to look forward to. I mean, they're the only Thanos-level event that I care about is Fantastic Four, X-Men, Doctor Doom, and, can we please get Magneto?
Yeah,
finally appear.
I hope it's not phase 10. Please don't be phase 10.
I joke, but
no, I know.
No,
I don't want to wait that long for X-Men. I want a good X-Men. I want a good stuff before phase 10. Phase 5, phase 6. I'm more leaning towards.
We'll visit Madripoor 100 times before we ever get an X-Men.
Yeah. What about you, Wolvie?
I mean, this last 3 months of us doing this show, WandaVision beforehand, it's been a lot of fun. We've gotten to talk about leaks. We've got to predict things that we got right, predict things that we got wrong, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's probably better and we've learned it the first time with WandaVision, kind of temper our expectations, not to expect the craziest thing to happen. We're not going to get the unification of Magneto and Professor X and Onslaught to be the main villain at the end of WandaVision. That just wasn't in the cards. So we need to just, and I need to do it as well. And then probably better help my enthusiastic value is stay at a tempered level if I don't expect those type big things. I don't think I went into this expecting the same things as I was expecting in WandaVision, but I can honestly say I was very disappointed with the Flag Smasher arc and the Power Broker arc. I think those were missed opportunities, and that's not anything more so on Carly being a woman and being in charge. I think they could have still left her the same cast, the same person, the same thing, but give her better direction on her goals and her agenda. She seemed like a confused teen the entire show.
Yeah.
And especially when we got it in the conversation where Sam was trying to convince her to change her ways, and she's like, "You twist my words around." It's just like, oh, okay, like, are you fighting with someone on the phone, on your cord phone in the house? it seemed adolescent, but overall, very happy for it. It's been a pleasure to review these with you 30, and I'm excited for the future in Loki. I'm excited for Star Wars Disney Plus. I'm excited for Marvel Disney Plus, and hopefully if DC can get their stuff together, I'd be excited for HBO Max DC.
What about you, Krebsy?
I just think that Marvel has to take these shows and stop treating them as snacks and start treating them as meals. The plots in the TV shows should be able to stand on themselves and be more of an impact to the greater scale of the MCU but I feel currently they only are being created to tell stories of side characters and not to progress the story in meaningful ways.
You know what, Krebs? Right quick, not to cut anyone off. I think my expectation for these shows going forward to do what Agents of Shield should have been allowed to do, which is to build up to the movie event, because that's an issue with Agents of Shield was meant to be, and now that Kevin Feige doesn't want to give him credit for existing, at least let the Marvel shows that he wants to credit be the thing Agents of Shield was always meant to do, the build up to getting the excitement ready for the movie event. Sorry.
I mean, that's what I said in the beginning. I said they need to make it connect better. They need to make them connect, right? They need to make them connect, not just be it would have been better if WandaVision connected Spider-Man between Spider-Man, like they were closer together at launch. Like you watched it November, then December, then the next one came out, closer together. Watching it as a fan, watching this in January, then waiting for Spider-Man in December, and then waiting for next May or whatever it is. It's like such a far long way for the story connecting, and then the story itself didn't connect.
I'm tempering expectations for Loki. I'm hoping Black Widow doesn't fall, but I'm putting a lot of expectations into Spider-Man.
But you know that at Marvel, whenever they say things like, "Oh, the TV shows, they shouldn't have the main plot points of the MCU. They should just be their own plot points and have their own."
That's
everything.
Great. Finish the plot point. Fill it in.
Yes. But
But see, Agents of Shield did a good job with that. They can be their own thing and still be the build up to the greater thing.
What I'm trying to say is like Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been about Bucky and Sam, but I feel like it was just a whole convoluted mess trying to introduce all these characters for future IPs.
That didn't matter.
Yes, the story that we wanted for this, I don't think we will get until the future Captain America films get created.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's probably why we were supposed to get things in different orders, and hopefully we get a tell-all on what if. I hope we get a Marvel what if COVID didn't happen.
Well, okay.
True. Like we need that.
Yeah.
I want to pose the question of, do we think Sam's character as Captain America moving forward, can we see him leading the Avengers?
Yes.
Can you see? Yes. You can see his character.
He's already getting a.
I think he's going to be that one of the leadership roles. I think. Spidey will find his place to be one of those leadership roles as well, and I think Sam will be that earthbound hero. Absolutely.
Now, we'll also say this to complement all those ideas. I think, in addition to Sam being a leader, there will be a point where they'll probably do it's Civil War II, where wasn't in Civil War II, it was Captain America versus what's her name, Captain Marvel or something like that. They may just have it's Sam. Maybe Captain Marvel doesn't feel like she should listen to Sam or something. I don't know. There could be a fight in leadership as Sam, through the movies, is a leader that someone thinks they could do it better, or maybe they have different ideals.
Right.
I think we're going to get another Civil War too. And yeah.
So you think it could be like Ross versus Sam, or
could be that too? Yeah. I think part of the next Civil War we get is going to be one of the questions of, well, what makes you've been leader all these years. You're really no different, no better than the old Captain America. Someone's going to throw a jab like that at Sam, I'm sure.
Like I just look at the cast, right? So like Spider-Man, I believe, is too young to lead anybody. Right?
Exactly.
Captain Marvel, it's not about the Brie Larson character. I don't know if she could lead. She's a very independent character. Like she's a very solo character. It has nothing to do with her being Brie Larson or whatnot. And I'm trying to look at other characters coming up, like who could lead. I mean, Natalie Portman, if she's Thor, is she gonna be leading the next phase? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think she's getting out of that movie.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying? Doctor Strange, okay, he's a leader type, but I don't think he's a leader to make the calls of like when you want a leader, you want someone that's going to be riding into battle and being like, I don't know, Doctor Strange doesn't seem like the leader type. Yes, he's a great fighter, and very smart when it comes to certain things, but I don't see him like getting on the horse, and charging like the king. You know what I mean? Like I don't see him.
I think he's always going to be like, my responsibility is first to the whatever
Yes.
it is he guards, a realm, whatever the thing is he guards as being the person over the Brooklyn division or the New York division.
Right.
Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah.
And now you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Marvel needs the next Robert Downey Jr.
Right. Who is that? Right. And then
That's true.
obviously the person that was going to be, I think it was being Chadwick Boseman, right? Who was Black Panther.
Yes.
Which
yes.
unfortunately he's not with us any longer. So like,
I think the plan was always to make it Spider-Man.
you think though? I think he's just too young right now.
No, it's the way that they incorporated him
With him and Tony,
movies,
with Stark.
I think it was always meant to be the mentoring character. Spider-Man is the face of Marvel for the past forever. He's the most iconic Marvel hero, and I think as cold grip clinch that Sony will always have on the Spider-Man franchise and universe. I think they even know they cannot not have their main IP be a part of this greater conglomerate that is the MCU. I think they finally realize that they can't do that anymore. I think they can get it both ways. They can do what they want to do with Into the Spider-Verse, have their own creative direction, but then still have some trade-off with Feige's MCU, and it's gonna work out for everybody.
Right.
Having Spider-Man, Tom Holland still a part of this continuity, because we're definitely in for some more storytelling, especially with the Venom crossover, Morbius crossover.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get a Blade crossover as well with Morbius in the picture.
Yeah, that's you got anything else, Krebsy? Otherwise we're gonna wrap it up here.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Appreciate the call-ins. Gritter, you got anything before we're done?
Oh no, it's just I'm going to miss this. 'Cause I know y'all going to decide what to do going forward. I was thinking about Invincible. I just saw the 7th episode. I binged all of them yesterday, and I think the final episode comes out this Friday. So if for y'all to do a show next Tuesday, that could still be considered relevant. Because the last episode airs this Friday. For Invincible.
I think I could squeeze it in to watch. I mean, hell, I watched 6 hours of this. I think I could watch 7 episodes of. Is it 20-minute episodes? Is it an hour episodes?
No, I think it's an hour. I think it's an hour, but they're good. They're really good, really, really good. I just don't wonder. I heard people say it all the time. It lives up to that. Hey, you need to watch this. It's good.
All right, we'll take that in consideration.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Krebsy, Gritter, it's great that you guys were very comfortable and willing to jump on it. Again, it's always an open invitation when we start up the next podcast on whatever show that we're doing. More than likely, the highlighted one that we know for sure, without a doubt, that will happen is Loki. So we invite you guys to shake off the shyness and jump in with us like these two guys do come in, because we're always down for a great conversation with our viewers.
Maybe what we'll do if we do Invincible or whatever content, but if we do a series like that, is there 8 episodes, 7 episodes? What is it, 7?
It's 7 now, and the 8th one comes out this Friday, the final one.
Maybe what we'll do, maybe we can break them up. Maybe we'll watch the first 4 episodes, talk about the first 4, and then spread it over 2 weeks. Maybe we can do something like that. Me and we'll talk about it off the stream. But yeah, we'll have something. If we miss next week, we'll just take a break, and then we'll come back, guaranteed in 2 weeks with something, right?
Yes.
But we'll definitely try to get something for next Tuesday. Appreciate you guys coming on the show as always, call-ins, and again, Gritter and Krebsy, they call in every single week, but anybody that's listening to the show right now, if you just have a call in that you want to do, just come in, ask a question, and then boom, get out. You can do that. You don't have to hang in the chat the entire time, but you're more than welcome to have a conversation with us on the show. Wolverine, where can they find you besides
Wolverine _VZ over on Twitter, Crucible Coliseum on YouTube, where we do all kinds of PvP and PvE stuff now included, because when Trials isn't going on, we got to keep ourselves active and motivated in both Destiny and all other games that we're playing. We're going to be jumping into new games right around the corner with the Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Make sure you hang out and Wolby's he's playing Destiny, and they have that new transmog system. I'm sure he's going to dive into the transmog system over there. So
all right, we've already ripped it up. We actually last week we kickstarted a new show over on the channel where we have like a round table type feel with Greg, Light Leap, and Ill-Fated, and we don't hold back any punches. We're actually pretty visceral on there. And those guys are very honest, and we do that every Thursday. We bring out our topics to the table. We're pretty honest about them, and then we go over the TWAB. We tell us how much that pisses off.
What time is that at? What time is that at?
That's roughly around 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays.
Oh, fantastic!
You should
I look
call
forward to
that
it. Yeah.
ranting at the Coliseum.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We're still looking for a full name for the group of us together, but yeah, everyone was really digging the honesty and the fact that we weren't sugarcoating how we feel with some things.
Oh man, I wish I was still playing the game so I can come on there and get involved. But I'm not.
You fit right in, dude. You fit right in.
Yeah, I'm not playing the game. I probably won't play that game again until next year. You could find me over on the Purple platform in the mornings, 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. And you can find me here on YouTube Monday through Thursday from 8 p.m. to midnight over on 30 and Still Gaming. I do a podcast on Thursday nights. You can watch Chaos the Coliseum or whatever we're gonna call it, okay, on Thursdays at 3 p.m. and then you can watch us, Generation X Gaming, over at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. So if you like podcasts, hit up Wolvy's channel in the morning or afternoon. Then you can hit up my channel at night. We love having little conversations and stuff. Appreciate everyone coming out. We had a blast doing this show, and we're going to be doing Loki when it comes out in it got pushed back to June I think it is.
Yeah.
So
June 11th.
We'll have some stuff in between, but this channel's gonna kind of go quiet for just a few weeks or whatever. We'll try to put some sort of content on this channel, but if you like to find where Wolvie is, go to his channels. If you like what I'm doing, come to my channel. We appreciate everyone coming out, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.